Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy Anchor MMA back, and today we're gonna go over every champ's next 3 fights. We're gonna start at flyweight and work all the way up to heavyweight. And let's go. Obviously, we're gonna start with Alexandre Pantoja. Obviously, he's got his fight with Joshua Van coming up next, and obviously this one's obvious. This is the fight going on at 323. I think that Joshua Van will win, and I think the UFC will run it back immediately, because I don't think Joshua Van will dominate him. I think Joshua Van will probably win by a decision, more than likely. So yeah, but I think Pantoja, whether he wins or loses, I think the fight after the Joshua Van rematch is his teammate Horiguchi. Horiguchi called him out. They're teammates. They both agreed. I think this would be a good fight. Maybe a potential retirement fight for both, honestly. I would like to see this. I think this would be an absolute banger. So I think this is what's next for Alexandre Pantoja. Moving on, we have the bantamweight champ, Merab Dvalishvili. This one's pretty tough because he's basically cleared out the entire division. But obviously, at UFC 323, he's fighting Petr Yan. I think he'll comfortably beat Petr Yan again. I don't really think that's too much of a question mark of a fight. But after that, I think they run the Umar rematch. Once again, I feel like that's a pretty obvious one. Umar has the best chance to beat him in all of bantamweight, if we're being honest. He gave him the closest fight he's had in multiple years. So I think they'll definitely run the Umar rematch after Yan. But after that, I think they're going to give him the new featherweight champ. Merab, I see him moving up. After that, there's no one left for him, and he came out and said he doesn't want to fight Volk, and we're going to go over Volk right now, but I don't think it'll be Volk. I think it'll be whoever this new featherweight champion will be. Up next, we got Alexander Volkanovski. I think he's going to fight soon. We're going to get fight news soon from Volk, even though he's old. But I think he'll fight Movsar Evloev. I think it's the toughest battle in this division. He deserves a shot over everybody else. You could give it to Lerone Murphy, but I would give it to Movsar Evloev, and I think that's what the UFC will do. And I think Volk will take it home and defend that belt. But I think after defending the belt, our boy Volk will retire. It's his time. It's his time. That's just the way it's got to be. Nobody wants to see it happen, but that's just what's going to happen. But up next, we got Ilia Topuria. This guy's been ducking fights recently. He really does not want to fight Arman because he knows Arman will actually give him his toughest battle he's had yet in his career. But I think that's who he's going to fight next. There's no way out of it. I think Topuria has to fight Arman Tsarukyan. If he fights Gaethje, I might stop being a UFC fan. Because I get it. UFC doesn't like Arman. I don't love Arman. I like the way he fights, but I don't love Arman either. And I believe he did miss weight, and he blamed it on his back and his chance for a title shot. So I think you got to run Arman. This is probably Arman's last chance to get the belt because they hate Arman, unless Ilia vacates, which I think after he beats Arman Tsarukyan, I think he fights Paddy Pimblett. The build up to the Paddy fight would just be incredible, but I think Paddy gets slammed out. I'm not going to lie. Paddy's a funny dude. The build up to this fight would be incredible, but he's just not on Ilia Toporia's level. But after Paddy Pimblett, Ilia Topuria will get his wish, and he will move up to fight Islam Makhachev. The worst thing about Ilia is that these 3 fights will take 3 years. He fights once a year, even though he takes no damage. Ilia has such a good skill set, and he could just be the face of MMA, but he just fumbles it every time. His personality isn't good enough. His, how much he fights isn't good enough. Ilia is just ruining the sport with how little he fights and how little his fights get promoted, because no one wants to listen to Ilia Topuria. But that brings us to the champ of welterweight, Islam Makhachev. I think up next, obviously, I've went over this before, it's got to be Ian Machado Gary. It's got to be. He earned it, but I think Islam dominates Ian Gary pretty comfortably. Not as comfortably as Jack, maybe, but I think comfortable 49-46 for Islam Makhachev. But after that, I think they're going to run Michael Morales. Morales might be his toughest test just because he has the one-shot KO power. But I still think Islam will win, and I think they will run Shavkat Rakhmonov after that. If this was running UFC fighters' next 4 fights, Ilia Topuria would be on here. But Islam just fights so much more often than Ilia Topuria, so I think he will get his 3 fights in before Ilia, and I don't think that's a hot take at all. But yeah, I think this is the 3 people who's next for Islam. I think, I don't know. Ian Gary, I don't think gives him a super tough test, but I think Michael Morales and Shavkat Rakhmonov both give him pretty tough battles. But I still think Islam beats all of these people because he's the best fighter in the world. But next, we got Khamzat Chimaev. Speaking of fighting once a year, this guy is just going to be... he's going to be cancer to the sport. The worst thing that could happen to the UFC is having Khamzat Chimaev be the champ. But I think this summer, maybe we end up getting Khamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Imavov, but I mean, Imavov does not stand a chance. I feel like everybody knows that. Khamzat will open as a huge favorite, and I think for good reason. He will just dominate him. But I think after Khamzat destroys Nasruddin Imavov, they're going to run Fluffy Hernandez. You know, Fluffy Hernandez, if anybody in the division can beat Khamzat Chimaev, it's Fluffy Hernandez. I would fence sit this one. I don't know who wins because Fluffy Hernandez is such a good all-around fighter. But I think they'll definitely run that one after Imavov. After Hernandez gets one more win, they'll definitely run this. But I think after Fluffy Hernandez, they'll give him the new light heavyweight champ. They'll give him the chance to be double champ, realistically, because Khamzat's going to try and speedrun what he can and retire as soon as he can. But, yeah, I think they'll give him the new light heavyweight champ. I don't know who it'll be, but yeah, Khamzat's going to try and work his way up to that as soon as he can. And I think if he gets through these two, maybe he deserves it. But speaking of light heavyweight champs, we got Alex Poatan Pereira. Obviously, his next fight, Carlos Ulberg, is in the works. I think that will definitely happen. There might not be a ton of hype going into it, but I think it'll be a really good fight. But I think Poatan will pull it out and defend the belt. But I think after that, he moves up and takes on Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight championship. This is a banger fight. Tom might just take him down and hold him there, but I think this would be an absolute banger fight, and I would definitely fence at this one a bit. But I think after Tom Aspinall, no matter the result, our boy Poaton's going to retire. If he retires as triple champ, he might be top 3 all time for me. But either way, he's incredible, and he'll move up to try to get that triple champ status. I know he will, and I think that'll be his last fight. He's really old, and yeah, retirement's on the way for Alex Pereira. And finally, we have the champ, Tom Aspinall. Obviously you run back Ciryl Gane. Everybody knows that. Dana already came out and said that will happen. It's just whenever Tom's eye feels better. But I think Tom Aspinall will come in with a better plan, and I think he'll dominate Ciryl Gane and get an early finish. Even though Ciryl Gane looked really good in the last fight with these two, I think Aspinall will make the adjustment and squish him like a bug. But after that, like I already said, I think Poatan will move up and he'll try to get the heavyweight strap off of Aspinall and become the first triple champ. But I think this will be a good fight, and win or loss, Tom Aspinall will fight for a belt, whether it's the vacant belt or he's defending the belt. This is the biggest hot take of the video. It'll be against Where's Waldo Cortez Acosta. I don't care what you say. Cortez Acosta has been marauding lately. He's been murdering everybody went against in heavyweight. He's got pretty good ground game, and he's slimed his last 2 opponents out. Who does that to Shamil Gaziev? Easily in the first round. Yeah, that was a really impressive win, and I think they'll end up running that. And I think Tom Aspinall will run right through him, but I think Cortez Acosta is good enough to fight for the belt. But yeah, that's the next 3 fights to make for every single champion. Let me know if you agree or disagree. There was a couple hot takes in here, but overall I feel like everything was pretty realistic. That was the goal of the video. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.